Change, it's the one constant in business, right? But let's be real. Leading a big change initiative, it can feel like you're just setting yourself up for failure. So why is it so incredibly hard to get right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a blueprint for a change plan that actually works.
Okay, take a look at this number. Let it really sink in. Research shows, pretty consistently, that a staggering 70% of big, company-wide change initiatives, they just don't meet their goals. I mean, think about that for a second. That's 7 out of every 10 projects. It's an unbelievable drain on resources, on the budget, and maybe the most important thing of all, on morale.
But why? What's the big disconnect here? I mean, you've got a smart strategy, the technology's all lined up, so where does it all fall apart? That is the question we are going to tackle head-on. We're going to unpack those hidden reasons for failure and, more importantly, lay out a map for success.
So here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll get into why most change initiatives fail. Then we'll talk about the plan to succeed. After that, we'll dive into the blueprint for your plan, how to actually put it into action, and we'll finish up with the secrets to making that change really stick.
All right, let's jump right in. Section 1. Why does most change fail? You see all these well-intentioned projects just stumble and fall flat. And the answer, almost every single time, it's not in the fancy strategy documents or the brand new software. It's the people. It's always about the people.
Yeah, this is the really crucial part. These failures are almost never technical. They're human. Think about it. When communication is bad, what happens? People fill in the gaps with rumors and negativity. If leadership isn't out front and visibly supporting the change, nobody else is going to take it seriously. And of course, if your employees feel like they're being left out or they're not prepared, they're going to push back. It's just human nature. All of this stuff creates this massive cloud of friction and uncertainty.
Okay, so we know the problem is all this human-centric stuff. So what's the solution? Well, it's about moving from that state of chaos to one of absolute clarity. And the way you do that? It's with a formal, structured change management plan. So what even is a change management plan? Let's break it down. Think of it as your roadmap. It's the thing that stops you from just winging it. It's a real, tangible guide for how you're going to prepare, equip, and support every single person involved as they make that tough transition from the old way to the new way.
And look at this. It really lays out the 2 paths you can take. On one side, you've got winging it, and that path pretty much always leads to chaos, resistance, and just tons of wasted resources. But on the other side, you have leading it with the real plan, and that leads to clarity, alignment, and ultimately success. I mean, the difference couldn't be more stark, right?
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The data here is incredibly powerful. Studies have shown that projects with poor or non-existent change management have just a dismal success rate. We're talking as low as 13%. But, and this is the key, when you bring in an effective change management plan, that success rate just shoots through the roof. So a plan isn't some nice-to-have binder on a shelf. It is a core driver of actual results. Okay, so now you're convinced you need a plan. Great, let's get into the blueprint. What are the essential components, the absolute must-have building blocks for a plan that's going to succeed?
All right, these first 4 are the foundation. First up, clear objectives and a vision. You have to know the why. Why are we even doing this? Second, stakeholder and leadership alignment. Are your key people, especially leaders, actively and visibly championing this change? Then you need a solid communication plan. How are you going to tell the story and keep everyone in the loop? And finally, a training and support program. Are you actually giving your people the tools and skills they need to make this work?
Okay, the next set is all about execution. You absolutely need a timeline with clear, measurable milestones. You also got to do a risk assessment. What could go wrong and how are we going to deal with it? Then you need a way to get feedback and measure your progress. Are we on track? And this last one is so important, a reinforcement plan. How are you going to make sure these new habits actually stick and don't just fade away after a month? So we've got the what. Now let's talk about the how. How do you actually build this thing and put it into action? Well, we can break it all down into a really clear 5-step process. And it's a really logical flow. Step 1, define the change. Get super clear on what's changing and why it matters. Step 2, develop your vision and strategy. This is your high-level roadmap for where you're headed. Step 3 is huge, communicate and engage. You have to start talking to people early and often. Step 4, you implement. This is where you roll out both the technical stuff and the people-focused activities. And finally, step 5, monitor and adjust. Look, no plan is perfect. You have to track your progress, listen to feedback, and be ready to make course corrections along the way.
All right, we're on to our final section, and this is where we get into the stuff that goes beyond just the written plan on paper. We're talking about the leadership behaviors and best practices that separate a good change from a great one. These are the real secrets to making it last.
And really, this all comes down to how leaders behave. You have to lead by example. You have to model the change you want to see. You've got to engage people at every level, not just talk at them. Communication needs to be constant and transparent. And when you hit that inevitable resistance, you have to address it with empathy, not with force. And you got to stay flexible. It's so important to remember this. The plan gives you the structure, but it's these leadership behaviors that give you the momentum.
I think this quote just sums it all up perfectly. Successful change is both an art and a science. The plan, the blueprint, all those steps, that's the science part. It's logical. But the leadership, the empathy, the communication, that's the art. And at the end of the day, it's the art that wins the change because it's won through your people.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final question to really think about. When you look at what you're working on, that next big project coming down the pike, ask yourself honestly, is your initiative really built to last?